Merry freaking Christmas, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good day so far. Today, we're finally going to be taking a look at the Christmas light setup that I have outside. Now, I know in a community post, I said that this was going to be the biggest setup that I have ever done out there. However, that unfortunately fell through. Don't worry, I was still able to come up with something that looks pretty good, but I was unfortunately not able to do a super crazy over-the-top setup because I could not find Christmas lights anywhere. Basically, what you're going to be seeing in today's video is all of the functional incandescent Christmas lights that I had. And yes, before you ask, this entire setup consists of only incandescent lights. There are no LEDs anywhere in this setup, which is a good thing because I very strongly dislike the way that colorful LED Christmas lights look. As you're watching the video, just keep in mind, I know I said that it would be a crazy over-the-top setup, but I was unable to find any Christmas lights at any stores this year, which is highly unfortunate. But next year for the outdoor Christmas light setup, I will be buying lights a lot earlier in the year and hopefully doing something like I've never done before. But anyway, guys, with that said, enjoy the outdoor Christmas light setup for 2021. Let's go ahead and start off with the left side of the driveway. Right here we have this tree, and this is pretty much all that's over here. I put some colorful lights on this tree. On the bottom here we have this multicolor flashing net, which is actually working better than it ever has before. As you can see, more of it is flashing. I don't know what the deal is with this thing, but it's been like that since we got it. Some days it'll just be on completely solid, some days half of it'll be off, and some days it'll flash like it's supposed to, like it's doing right now. And above that I just have a few strands of multicolor Christmas lights wrapped around these two big branches. They're very slightly different in color, as you might be able to tell. This one's a little bit more vibrant and this one's a little bit more pale, but I think the entire tree looks pretty nice with the exception of this bare spot right here. Hopefully next year I'll be able to do something about that. But as I said earlier in this video, lights were pretty much impossible to find this year, which I'm not happy about. Moving up to the driveway, we have my 1999 Toyota 4Runner. And if you take a look at the roof racks, you can see that I've actually wrapped Christmas lights around them. I did the same thing last year, except it didn't look as good because I actually used more lights this year, and I think it looks pretty nice. And for those wondering, yes, I do run these lights off an inverter in the hatchback of this vehicle while I'm driving, but for the sake of this video, I've just run an extension cord into the hatchback from all the way over here, just so I don't have to run my battery down to shoot this video. I did end up putting the red and green floodlights back in the motion light this year, so let's go ahead and move on to the icicle lights here. We've got the normal white strands going all the way across here and all the way over there, but if you look behind them, you'll actually notice that there's some new ones. Now, I was only able to get 2 strands of these multicolor icicle lights, which was highly unfortunate because as you can see, it basically ends right here at the front porch. I had wanted to extend this all the way over down to that end of the house, but that just wasn't in the cards this year because lights were so hard to find. I'm actually impressed I was even able to get 2 strands of these things. But I think they're a pretty nice addition to the standard white icicle lights that we've always had. Moving on to the yard on the right side of the driveway, you can see the spiral trees are back. I actually really like these things with the exception of this one because the little holder for the star broke off before I bought it. I did have to buy these secondhand because it's hard to find them brand new. But the other 2, as you can see right here and right here, are in pretty much perfect shape. Now we have the actual tree that's in this yard. As you can see, I've wrapped Christmas lights pretty high on it this year. There you go. I think that looks really nice. Now, if you pay close enough attention, you're actually able to tell that there are 2 different color palettes of Christmas lights on this tree, but the difference is so minuscule, I figured it would be okay. And honestly, even looking at it, just from this distance, I have to look really hard to tell the difference between the 2 color palettes of these Christmas lights. I'll give you a better look at the spiral trees here. So this is the little tiny one right here. And over to the right of it is the medium-sized one, and over to the left of that is the tall one with its broken star. So let's move on to what's on the actual house. This is where I've added the most Christmas lights to this setup. Right up front here we have the blow molds. I think these were introduced last year. We have 2 candles, a Santa Claus, and a snowman. I think these look really cool, and yes, they do have incandescent lights in them. Now over on the railing, I actually didn't think I would be able to have this much reach on these lights, but as you can see, they start all the way up here, go down and around all the way to the end right there, and then loop back and actually make it all the way back to where they started. Not up at the top, of course, but down here, which is really cool because I didn't think that the strands I had were that long. Some of my longtime viewers will recognize this little Santa. This was hanging in my window at our old house, and it's still working. The only thing wrong with it is these 3 burned out lights, but those are easily replaced. I just need to find some red incandescent lights for it. Now, this blue strand is another thing that my really longtime viewers might recognize, but probably not. These were actually above my desk at the old house, and they're still here 10 years later. I believe I got this strand back in 2008 or something like that, and I decided to put them here. I wanted to do multicolors on this side of the porch right here, but again, was not able to find any Christmas lights, and I didn't want to use LEDs. I've had this strand since like 2008 or something like that, and as you can see, it's still working perfect here in 2021. For the last part of this video here, we're going to take a look at these C9 lights that I have going all the way around this window and actually lead all the way over to here. This is just 2 strands of these lights. I've replaced some of the steady ones with these flasher bulbs just because I think it adds a nice effect. It adds some character to the rather boring, just steady on C9 strands. Here's where you can see the end of the first strand leading to the second strand, and then that strand goes all the way down to this end of the house over here and actually goes up onto the ceiling and comes back almost to where the strand starts. I've always liked how long these C9 strands are, and I think this is the first year I've actually had any outside. I wanted to do more, but again, it's hard to find any Christmas lights right now for whatever reason, so hopefully next year I'll be able to have some more C9s out here. But regardless, I think the C9s add a pretty nice look to the entire setup that I have going here. So there you go, guys. That's pretty much it for the 2021 Christmas light special. I know I said that this was going to be the biggest setup I ever did, and it kind of is, but I wanted to have like 3 times this amount of lights here. But as I've said a few times throughout this video, lights were pretty much impossible to find this year, so this is what I have to deal with, and just hopefully next year I'll be able to have 3, maybe even 4 times this. So guys, come back tomorrow if you want to see how I wired all of this up. It's actually quite different than I've ever done in the past, but until then, guys, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and of course, thank you for watching. So there you go, guys. That is going to be it for this look at my outdoor Christmas light setup for 2021. If you're interested in how I wired this system up and how it's controlled, come back tomorrow. I'll be doing an in-depth look at how I wired everything up. But until then, guys, I hope you have a good Christmas, and as always, thank you for watching.